Hello, Reset League friends, brothers, comrades, fellow owners, GMs. I am Alan of Armchair Updates. Going to send you into the Week 5 weekend with a nice late recap of Week 4 in ABL 4. Let's jump right in. And we had a nice handful of teams go unbeaten in Week 5. The Rockies, the D-backs, the Dodgers, so 3 NL West teams all go unbeaten in Week 5. Rockies, D-backs 5-0, Dodgers 4-0-1. The Brewers and the Cubs, a couple NL Central teams, go 5-0-0 also. So 5 unbeaten teams, 3 from one division, 2 from the other. Kind of interesting there. The A's, the Pods, the Reds, the Nats, and the Cardinals all go 4-1-0. The Mets are the only team to go 3-1-1. The Angels and the Yankees take a decent week at 3-2-0, take a winning week. The Tigers kind of split the week a bit, 2-1-2. The Royals and the Pirates split the week as well, 2-2-1 each. The O's and the Astros go 2-3-0. The Red Sox, the Jays, the Marlins, and the Clevelands all go 1-3-1. So little handful of ties this week. The Braves, the Rays, and the Mariners go 1-4-0. And then we had another handful of winless teams on the week. The Phillies, and a couple of surprising, I will say. The Phillies, the Twins, and the Giants. The White Sox and the Rangers all go 0-5-0. And my apologies to the Giants. I tried to hook them up in the last week's pod, giving them the tip of the cap for being the last remaining unbeaten team, and kind of put the hex on them a little bit, I guess, because not only does that end, but it ends about as hard as it can with a winless week. So let's spend the first 3 weeks with no losses, and then get it talked about on the pod a little bit, and then have a week with no wins at all. So that is rough. The White Sox. We're gonna look. I did the yearly stuff. The White Sox are a very good pitching team, but the White Sox again, they missed the innings pitch minimum this week. I'm pretty sure the Sox missed the at bat minimum this week. Hard to put together wins when you're just not able to get the innings and the ABs you need. So the Sox need to. I don't want to say anybody's out of it yet. The Phillies are 0-20. That's going to be very tough. I think the Sox are 1-18-1, something like that. Those are going to be tough holes to climb out of. But if you are having hope of competing this year, gotta either, get on the wire. We know what the wire looks like in this league. Gotta try to swing some kind of deal. We have teams that are missing. Typically, it's the innings pitch. We had a lot of teams this week miss the innings pitch. I think we had 10 teams. I wrote down missed the inning pitch minimum. So it's not just a 1 or 2 team problem. I think 2 teams missed the at bats. I think it was the Sox and I think it was the Phillies, which not terribly surprising or I guess unexpected, but it's not every week teams are missing the AB minimum, but teams are pretty consistently missing the inning pitch minimum. So guys got to make a move or something. Got to start getting some innings, just forfeiting categories, when you're not hitting those, just forfeiting a couple categories every week. And really, probably a couple more. You're probably not winning strikeouts if you're not hitting. So not only are you just forfeiting ERA and WHIP, but you're probably missing strikeouts at the very least as well. So make those. I don't know what moves to make. We talked about it in the Discord how the league is definitely not as much movement in this one as there is in the ABL, which, yeah, they're different. They're both 30 teamers, a lot of the same owners and stuff, but we've really seen not nearly as much trade action in this league, whether that's because guys are still feeling out their own teams or guys are still feeling each other out. We got mostly, about half and half of like completely new guys to the Armchair Network, and then some guys in other armchair leagues. But we all in this league don't know each other terribly well, so maybe guys are just feeling each other out, trying to see who's going to make the first move, who's going to make the first offer. I don't know. I'm sure it's a combination of things, but we're definitely seeing teams that have some pretty obvious glaring needs when you're failing to hit just the innings pitch minimum week after week. Like I said, you're just forfeiting categories. You got to even crappy innings at this point, are good for you when you're just because as we are about to see, the White Sox are a good example. I'm not trying to pick on the White Sox, but the White Sox have like a great team ERA, a great team WHIP. They're leading the entire league on the year in save holds, but all of that pitching is clearly in relief pitching, and he's just forfeiting categories every week because he's not hitting the IP minimum. So unless you're really going to dominate with relief pitchers and have a bunch of them I just don't see how it works. You got to get those 34 and 2/3 or whatever it is, 34 innings. You got to get them, or all that stuff only does you so much good. Yeah, it's nice. It can win you some categories, but you're forfeiting, 2 or 3 categories every week. I'm beating a dead horse. Let's get into. I just don't know. I don't know if everybody kind of realized how hard it might be to hit those minimums. Not that there's a ton that can be done about it now, but in the auction, I guess this is just a learning bump in the road for some of these teams that are struggling week in and week out to hit that minimum. Yeah, the wire is so bare. You're not just going to go pick up. You're certainly not going to go pick up a 2-star pitcher that's going to help you get over that hump in a 30-team league like this. They're just not out there. So you got to explore the trade market, or I guess hope you got some prospects getting ready to get called up. But yeah, gotta. Not that I think anybody's not trying, but it's time to make some moves, or it's time to go get an arm. Some of you guys, you got to go get an arm. Got to hit those minimums. Let's take a look at this. This is going to look really jumbled, and I got to figure out a better way to format this. Maybe I can get an Excel guru or something to help me format this better. But I wanted it to be able to fit on one page. I didn't want to have to do a lot of scrolling around, and so I shoved the year-long stuff in between. We'll see how it works. So the hitting, week 4 hitting, I think we're getting pretty used by now to seeing Milwaukee in a lot of these hitting categories. Led the league in week 4 with 31 runs. Colorado number 2 with 30. Tied for 3 is the Cubs and Baltimore, 28 runs. The Yankees at number 4, 27. And the Dodgers at number 5, 26 runs in week 4. Home runs in week 4, the Cubs. So the Cubs had 28 runs and hit 12 homers. Milwaukee at number 2, 11 homers, and of course the 31 runs. I think we're going to see him again in the ribbies. See the Cubs again in the ribbies. The Yankees coming in 3rd, hit 10 homers. Colorado in 4th, hit 9 homers, and tied for 5th, Arizona and KC hit 7 each. Ribbies in week 4, the Yankees, a pretty decent lead, 38 over number 2 Colorado at 32. So that feels like a significant lead for the Yankees and RBI for 1 week, 6. That feels pretty good. So I know I said I was going to go through and give the gold colors or whatever on the teams that have set a new week high. I'm abandoning that already because I don't want to have to go back and look every single time while I'm doing this. I'm not good at doing this kind of crap, so it's already enough that I have the one tab of Fantrax open, and I have to switch back and forth to the Excel and the Fantrax. If I have to do another sheets or another couple sheets tab to see, this feels like it might be the high. I need to go back and check. As we get later into the season, I have to check more and more. And I don't have a very good system for remembering that stuff. So I'm abandoning that. And when it feels like a big number, I'll talk about it like it's a big number, I guess. But yeah, I'm already abandoning that idea. I'll put the guys in red that missed the minimums. That's a lot easier. But I can't keep going back and checking all the previous weeks to see has the team got 38 yet? Maybe that's the new high. I need to. I just I don't have the. I have the time, I guess. I just don't have the wherewithal. So yeah, Colorado 32 ribbies, the Cubs at number 3 at 30, the Dodgers number 4 at 29, and Milwaukee the 5 spot at 28. So Milwaukee consistently hitting very well thus far, and I believe is the king of the mountain right now at 17, 2 and 1, or maybe 2 and 2, something like that. But Milwaukee king of the mountain, I believe, in the league. Stolen bases. For week 4, Colorado and the Dodgers each steal 5. San Diego and Philly each steal 4. And then 6 teams steal 3. 10 teams steal 2. 6 more teams steal 1. And 4 teams stole 0 bases. So, stolen bases are one of those weird things. That's not to say that those 4 teams have no speed or anything, but sometimes you're not going to get any. I wish I had been keeping track of that all along. Each week, how many teams had 0. I could go back and look, but I didn't do it this time. I'm certain that there's probably multiple teams every week with 0 steals. Maybe I don't want to say that as a certainty, but this can't be the only one. This can't be like an anomalous week. There's got to be multiple teams with no steals. OBP for week 4, the Dodgers at a 374 OBP. The Chicago Cubs. So not only did the Cubs power their way to the number 1 spot in home runs, they were somewhere in ribbies and runs also. Great hitting week for Chicago. Also got on base a ton. Number 2 at 359. Milwaukee, number 3 at 355. Baltimore, number 4 at 342. And the White Sox at 341. So the White Sox, I want to say the White Sox were one of the teams. It was the White Sox and Philly, I think, that missed the at-bat minimum. But the Sox, so I didn't put it in red, the Sox did have a 341 OBP. So, it's like the guys that he has are pretty good. He's usually all over the place in like the ERA and the WHIP and such, but just not getting the innings, just not getting the at-bats. Take one of those good arms of yours and make a move, White Sox. You need at-bats and you need innings. Your strikeouts for week 4, the Los Angeles Angels, top of the league at 67. Pittsburgh Pirates, number 2 at 65. St. Louis at number 3 at 61. The Mets at number 4 with 59. And then a slight gap to Milwaukee at 51. So Milwaukee not just doing it with the bats, also throwing some strikeouts. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself. He's good in other stuff too. Milwaukee's a very good team. ERA week 4, the White Sox a 1.42, but in only 19 innings. Does not hit the minimum. Minnesota a 1.74 and only 31 innings. Does not hit the minimum. St. Louis a 1.98 and 63 2/3. The Mets a 2.01 ERA and 62 2/3. And number 5, Cincinnati 2.22 and 48 2/3. So the top 2 teams there. Minnesota narrowly misses, 3 2/3. The inning pitched minimum. The White Sox missed it by quite a bit. The WHIP for week 4, Philly a 0.80, but in only 10 innings. So, but I'm still going to put it on there. The White Sox at 0.842 in 19 innings. Washington, your legal leader, at 0.849 in 53 innings. Minnesota, 0.871 in 31 innings. And then St. Louis at number 5, or true number 2, 0.911 in 63 2/3. And then, so yeah, like I had said last week, I wasn't going to do the weekly QA7 and save holds because it's a bunch of teams always tied. And then, of course, I did it for stolen bases. So we'll do the hitting year and then the pitching year. Your yearly hitting, the runs leader, the Milwaukee Brewers, 149 runs. Number 2, Kansas City at 143. Number 3, tied, Washington and Colorado, each with 137. Number 4, the Los Angeles Angels, 134. And number 5 on the season, tied, St. Louis and Detroit with 131 runs each. Your yearly home run leader is the Chicago Cubs with 44. Number 2, Milwaukee, just how they stacked up in week 4, oddly enough. Milwaukee has 41, so 3 behind the lead. Miami at number 3 with 35. 2 teams, Toronto and the Yankees, tied with 33 for number 4. And number 5, Kansas City, Detroit, and Pittsburgh, all tied with 32 homers each. Your RBI leader on the year, the Chicago Cubs. So the Cubs leading in homers, leading in ribbies, and leading by a decent amount, 20 ribbies. Got 164 on the year. The Angels, number 2 at 144. The Yankees, 1 behind at 143. Milwaukee on their heels at 141. And number 5, Detroit, 138 ribbies. I feel like I don't see Detroit a lot in the top 5 of ribbies, but he's just compiling them and just kind of quietly doing it, I guess. Your stolen base leader on the season is Baltimore with 25. The Angels and the Padres each have 22. Texas and Boston tied for 3rd with 21. The Dodgers, 4th place to himself at 20. And KC at number 5 with 19 steals on the season. So not crazy stolen base numbers. I don't know if that's what we would expect or not, but 25 is top of the league, Baltimore. Your OBP leaders on the season, Milwaukee, 366, and then a pretty significant gap to Pittsburgh at 334. So Milwaukee really just doing it with the bats, doing very well with the bats. Not just doing it with the bats, but doing very well with the bats. Pittsburgh, 334. Arizona at oh my God. Pittsburgh, that's got to be somebody's pet, like some wacky bird just like grabbed onto the screen of my window. It's super colorful. That's got to be somebody's pet bird or something. Holy cow. I don't know what that is. That's really neat. Oh, he's like ripping the screen out of my window. Arizona, 330. Oh, there he goes. Colorado, 322, and Baltimore, 321. So Milwaukee really just dominating the OBP category on this year with a 366, 32 points ahead of the number 2 spot. Very, very impressive, a 366 on the year. Your year-long strikeout leaders as we move into the pitching, Washington with 282, St. Louis, 271, Milwaukee, number 3, 264, the Mets, number 4 at 262, and then a little bit of a gap to Pittsburgh at 242. So as we see, Milwaukee, not just a bat-only team, he's 3rd in strikeouts as well. Your yearly leaders in ERA, the White Sox, 241. So the innings that he does get are pretty damn good innings. He's got a 241 and 101 total innings on the year. San Francisco, number 2, 2.56 and 193 and 2/3 innings. Number 3, Miami, 279 ERA and 193 and 1/3 inning. The Mets at number 4 at a 2.93 and 276 and 2/3 innings. And Seattle, number 5, 3.02 ERA and 205 and a third innings. So the Mets, 4th in strikeouts, 4th in ERA, not on the whip list. Your year-long whip list, San Francisco, in 193 and 2/3 has a .986 whip. Very impressive to, in nearly 200 innings, have a whip under 1. Bravo to San Francisco. Philly, number 2, 1.025, but in only 67 and a third innings. That is got to be the lowest in the league. Miami at number 3. So Miami was number 3 in the year in ERA. They are number 3 in the year on in whip with a 1.055 and 193 and a third innings. The Mets, number 4 in whip. So the Mets, number 4 in strikeouts, number 4 in ERA, number 4 in whip on the year, 1.081 whip in the 276 and 2/3. And then number 5, Atlanta poking their head in there, a 1.096 in 156 innings. So some consistency in the pitching. We see San Francisco In the yearly ERA and WHIP, we see the Mets and the K's, the ERA, the WHIP. We see Washington in the yearly strike. Well, actually, I think no, Washington was just the strikeouts. Yeah, the White Sox talked about the White Sox a lot in this one, but I imagine these things are still going to get moved around quite a bit. We're only 4 scoring weeks into it, but starting to see some things solidify maybe a little bit. Your QA7 on the year, all by himself, St. Louis, number 1 at 30. There's Washington. I knew he was around there somewhere again. Washington, number 2 in the QA7 at 29. Number 3 split between Milwaukee and Arizona, 27.5. Number 4, the Mets, again, number 4 in something, 26. And number 5, Chicago at 25. So the Mets are 4th on the year in strikeouts, ERA, WHIP, and QA7. Kind of would be hard to do even if I was trying. Your save hold on the year, the White Sox, number 1 with 30. San Diego, number 2, 29. Texas, number 3 at 28. Minnesota, number 4 at 27. And Pittsburgh, 5 at 26. A nice sequential drop in the save holds. Man, what else? Yeah, let's just take a quick look at the standings because I wanted to mention a couple things as we see how ridiculous the NL West and NL Central are. Your other divisions, the NL East. I'm trying to gain some ground as we can kind of see on the live scoring here. I'm having a pretty good week. If I can keep this up and maybe sneak out the one against Baltimore, I go 5-0. Seems like the Nats are always having a good week as well, though. So I'm really just gaining the ground on the Braves and the Marlins. I haven't looked at what they're doing in week 5, but I think this division is tighter than it looks. You throw Philly out of there, they're not going for it this year. But top to bottom, I honestly do think that me and the Nats are closer than the standings look. He's got 7 games on me right now, 7 games on the Braves as well, only 3 on the Marlins. But I think this is a tighter division than it looks on paper at the moment. The AL Central, also very tough, almost top to bottom, 1-4. The Sox, unless he goes out and makes a move, is going to continue forfeiting categories and probably not be much of a threat this year. But 1-4, the Tigers looking very good at 15-3-2, and then the Guardians, the Twins, and the Royals all kind of right there between 4.5 and 6.5 games behind. Very, very close to each other, going to be beating up on each other as the year goes on. That should be a fun division to watch. The AL East is jumbled with the Yankees starting to separate a little bit. It has 3.5 on the Jays, and then 6 on the Sox and 6.5 on the Orioles. I still would not count out the Rays. I still think that that's a better team than 3-16. At least that's what I predicted before the season started. Haven't really looked at them lately, but I do think that that's a better team than 3-16 for sure, and should be a reasonably tough division. The AL West starting to get some separation. The Angels, as we saw him, popped up all over some top 5s on the weekend, on the year, 13-6-1 on the year with 3.5 over the A's. Never counting Duke out of anything. So, not going to say that 3.5 is comfortable or whatever right now, but once you get past those two, you get into the M's at 6-11-3, the Rangers 4-15, which another team I think is better than their paper record right now. The Astros kind of in that Philly and White Sox vein where not going to be a terrible threat to the rest of the division, at least not this year. And now you get into what seems to be the meat and potatoes of the league. Look at these 2 divisions here. The NL Central, headlined by 2 17-win teams. The Brewers 17-2-1 and the Cardinals 17-3-0. It's got to be frustrating, and then you have the Cubs 14-6, would pretty much be on top or damn near on top of every other division, sitting in 3rd at 3.5 games back. And Pittsburgh 11-7-2 at 5.5 back. These are all teams well over 500, and even the Reds at 7-12-1 cannot count out. Everybody is in this division, and same can be said for the NL West, which remains the only division to have everybody not just a game or so over 500. Everybody's well over 500 in this. Look at this division. Look at this division. 1.5 games separate number 1 and number 5. That is incredible. I know it's early and everything, but the parity in the NL West, the Diamondbacks and the Pods are both 13-5-2. The Rockies are 13-6-1. The Giants, who were undefeated last week, have dropped down to fourth at 12-5-3, only a half game behind. And then the Dodgers, languishing in last place in the division at 11-6-3, who would be on top of some of these or in second place of most of them, 1.5 games back total. The NL West is a monster division, and I'm in the NL West and the ABL. I'm glad I didn't pick the NL West in the reset league because, man, this seems to be where the talent has fallen in the NL Central and the NL West specifically. These are two going to be very fun divisional fights. It looks like for most of the season. Already has been. I see no reason that it won't continue to be. So, yeah, kind of a tip of the cap to the guys in the NL West and the NL Central. The Central, the only division, two teams with more than 15 wins, let alone 17, and then you have the West where everybody is well over 500 and just kind of waiting for those weeks where they're all going to have to beat up on each other. It's going to happen. And it can't look like this forever, you would think. You would think it can't look like this forever. Maybe it can't. Fun, though. Very, very fun. Specifically those two divisions. Fun to look at, fun to check out. All right, yeah, this is the better late than never. Week 4. Let's head into the weekend and have a good week 5. I'm hoping for a 5-0 at the very least. I would love to stay where I am and go 4-1 and just lose to the Baltimores. But yeah, good luck on the weekend to everybody. Your other leagues, your other matchups as well, and we will see you next week.